Hi, everyone. I'm going to introduce your WOW number 2 project. I'm sorry I can't be with you today, but let's get started on this and try and be as successful as we can with this project. I'm so excited to see what you come up with. This is a brand new project for us, so I'm excited to see what you can do with it. And so I've called this unit, our theme is called Day and Night, Warm and Cool, and let me explain what that means. So first off, you need to understand what the difference between warm and cool colors are. And so you can see here on our color wheel, we've got the whole color wheel, all 12 colors, and it's divided. The top half here is kind of showing where the warm colors are, and the bottom half is showing where the cool colors are. The idea with our project is that you are showing, or you are demonstrating, that you understand the difference between both of those, and you will use both of those in your artworks in different places. So what do I mean by that? The first couple examples here are demonstrating the whole concept of day and night. So when we think of night, we're thinking of like darker, cooler colors because obviously our air temperature drops. And then on the other half of the papers that you see here on your screen are representing a day, which are warmer colors as evidenced by the sun in our sky, which is typically what gives us the warmth in our day. And so inside each of these projects, or inside each of these shapes, you'll see that they have done a lot with markers or paint to create beautiful patterns. You see no white of the paper left behind. There should be zero white at all. And so if you remember, you got our principles of design and elements of art in our sketchbook. And so I want you to be thinking specifically about space for this. Space and shape. You should have lots and lots of shapes in your artwork, whether you are painting papers and cutting them up and collaging them onto your project here, or whether you're just drawing shapes and creating different positive and negative space with the warm and cool colors. Here again is another example of day and night. We've got half moon, half sun. On the sun side, we've got beautiful patterns and warm colors. On the moon side, again, we've got fantastic cool colors, blues and violets that are showing the nighttime sky. On the warm and cool side both, you see just a smidgen of white. And so the idea behind our project is that there should be no white at all. So if I was to use an example like this as a starting point, I wouldn't copy it exactly, but use it as a source of inspiration. Just know you cannot have any white on your project. Here again, this is a digital that is still kind of representing cool and warm colors. And you can see the very basic patterns that are created. You could do this with tempera paint. You could do it with watercolor, oil pastel, chalk pastel, any of those, especially once you watch the video on how to blend your chalk pastels with the starch, the liquid starch. This would be beautiful. This was painted on top of news or like book pages, newspaper that was glued down on paper. And you are welcome to do that as well if you want to work on top of painting on top of other paper. I will tell you, it presents a whole different level of complexity because not only do you have to get it glued down, you have to wait for it to dry, and then you still have to get your image transferred onto it. And so that will take a significant amount of extra time. So if you are not an extremely proficient artist, I would shy away with working on top of other surfaces other than your watercolor paper that we have. Because we don't have time to do a lot of extra work. But you can see very simple patterns. We've got cool colors down here. We've got warm colors up here. They left white on here. Again, you would not leave white. And for us, this still does not demonstrate enough for a WOW project. You would still have to go into these shapes and add extra divisions of space and add patterns in there as well. But it can give you a good starting point. This has got some really great things going on. You can see the division between warm and cool. So use this as an example for patterns if you wish. Same here. Whoops. Same here. We've got warm colors demonstrated up in the sky. We've got the cool colors down here, and we still have got some brown. They've got some brown going on. I told you I didn't want you to use any brown or black when we talked about pastels, But if you wish to use some, you can. And you can see that this one isn't even quite finished yet. They're still going back up here with some yellow. So remember, no white. This is a whole different concept. So they drew designs on their page, but you can see that there are shapes that are definitively cool and there are shapes that are definitively warm. This kind of blurs the lines in terms of what or how the warm and cool color is being utilized. I would recommend you staying that, for example, maybe all the spheres that you draw are warm, or maybe all the spheres are cool, and then everything else is the opposite. But you can see a great blending of oil pastels or chalk pastels. You could even do this with paint. It's more complicated with paint, but not impossible. This was an example I showed some of my classes. We did this as a 6th grade class. This was a collaborative project a couple years ago where students painted a lot of manila paper, lots of different colors. They chose a color scheme. This color scheme happens to be a split analogous theme or split complementary scheme, meaning they're using orange from one side of the color wheel and they're using blue on the other, but they're really kind of using not quite just orange, it's like red orange really, and then they're using blue violet or so the colors on either side of blue, so blue violet and blue green. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. And all of those circles are cut out and they put little pieces of cardboard underneath some of them, so they're different levels on the page. So they've created a collage here. And this one is pastel. You can see now, this is not a good example for differentiating between warm and cool. If you were doing something like this, maybe all the leaves up top are warm and maybe everything down below is cool. This is very abstract, which you're entirely welcome to do. I put this here because I liked the line example. Okay, it maybe not as a good color example, but it's a good example for line and shape. This could be used, a version of this. These are just head profiles, but you have to think in terms of warm and color. How could you do this with warm and cool? Same thing. You could do a version of this, but differentiating between maybe warm in the middle and cool as you get farther out. Warm hand in the center with patterning and the background space all around it is cool. Same here, except it's opposite. Warm on the background and cool in the center. Same type of example. This is different in that one side of their page is designed with warm and one side is designed with cool. So you could do something like that. Same example here, warm down here and cool up there. Okay, so hopefully you got some ideas. The goal is that you're going to be using the paper that I gave you, the watercolor paper. Make sure you have tested you've got your idea drawn out on your newsprint first before you put it on your project paper. And you can use any of the boot camps that we did in Unit 2, and you can supplement it with boot camps from Unit 1.